There we go.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Jaclyn McCormick, and I'm from Chapter 141 in Richmond, Virginia.
Hi everyone, I'm Joanie Allen, and I'm from the Palmetto Chapter 385 in Charleston, South Carolina.
And we are going to talk to you a little bit about WIC Week. So we decided that the best way to talk about WIC Week is split it into 4 phases. The first one is forming the committee. The second one is brainstorming and planning of the events. The third is executing the events the week of WIC Week. And the fourth is the wrap up. And so we're going to go through those different sections and talk about them. And then probably at the end, we might make sure we tell you why we do WIC Week, because we didn't talk about that, but might be a good thing to do. So forming the committee, I think when we were talking back and forth about this, we both agreed that it's really important to get a good sized group to be on this committee because there's a lot of planning and execution that's needed. And the more people that you can have help with the events, it makes everybody a little less crazy and nobody feels like all the pressure is on them. So it's definitely good to have a good sized committee for this group. It's also important that the chair of the committee be a good delegator because you don't want one person to be scheduling the entire WIC week, especially if you do a whole lot of events. That person will be very stressed out and not enjoy the week. So it's important for the chair to be a good delegator.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you're forming your committee, you want to try and form it in like October or in November, just to get some of the pre-planning done. And you can reach out to anyone that was on the committee the previous year just to have some veterans, and then also recruit some more members who may be interested in the committee and want to be a part of it. And you also want to get with your treasurer. That way you have your budget so that you can kind of start planning your events and then knowing what you have in your budget to allocate towards those events. So it'll help dictate kind of what you can do for the week.
So the next phase is the actual brainstorming and planning of these events. And ideas that our chapters typically try to do events based around would be job site tours, networking events where you can bring in new or potential members, but also groups. The last couple years, it's been important to try to network with other organizations that are in the construction industry and get the word out about women in construction that way through these networking events. Doing team building activities. So within the chapter, you know, if it's arts and crafts that you guys are into, or maybe trying to, you know, hit a winery together and drink or do, you know, different team building is important. Lunch and learns are a great idea because not only for the chapter members to learn something new, but also another way to get potential new members in or different companies to be knowledgeable about NAWIC and women in construction. So lunch and learns are a great way to do that. We try to have some volunteer opportunities since it's important for NAWIC as a whole to be connected with the communities that we're in. And then creative events. So really just trying to showcase and give people something different during WIC Week that they wouldn't have an opportunity to do throughout the rest of the year. And yeah, and Joanie already covered when to start, so I'll let her take it from there.
Yeah. So, you know, brainstorming and getting, you know, you're forming your committee in October and November. So you just kind of want to brainstorm so many different events and then kind of narrow it down based off the conversations that you have with vendors and different companies. You know, this year we started out with just a whole lot of events, and then we just kind of, you know, marked them down what was good and what wasn't, kind of what worked with us. Obviously, COVID was a big challenge, but just kind of get some ideas on paper and kind of go from there. You will start to meet a lot during January and February. It's just kind of, lots of emails back and forth, lots of communication. GroupMe is an app for kind of like group messaging. So instead of having 10 emails throughout your morning, you're just, sending a text message, which is a lot easier of communication. It's just quicker. And then you're just going to start delegating who's going to execute the events and do follow-ups to confirm, reservations and different things. And you also want to choose someone that can send out proclamations. These go out to different municipalities. Can't say that word. But that way they can proclaim it in their monthly meetings of, we're declaring it WIC week. So you want someone that's good for that can follow up and make sure that they got the email and they can proclaim WIC week for us. And then you also want to make sure that marketing's well aware of the calendar of events so that they're able to make registrations for the confirmed events, and then starting to put blasts on social media pages to promote. This just helps get the word out early when you already have reserved events. So, you can just promote it and get your registrations up and make it great.
Yep, definitely. So then when you're actually executing events and having them the week of WIC week, it's very important to take attendance at all the events and to note who's members, who are guests, and take lots of photos. So both of those things are important because our region wants to know what's going on that we're doing, and national wants to know what's going on. And we have to actually, or we can submit for awards. And so having that information of who attended, how many, what events were had, and then having those photos as documentation. And again, marketing can send those out during WIC week to continue to promote WIC week during WIC week and even afterwards. So those are important for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you plan to sell anything at the events, hats or water bottles or kind of any of the gear that we have, kind of the week or two before WIC week, you want to almost have like an Excel spreadsheet of the handoffs of sellable items and your banner and your tablecloths and different things of who's going to take it from what event to the next event and then hand it off to the next person. That'll help you kind of keep a chart of what you sold, and you can keep track of your inventory levels. And then you also want to make sure that you're planning for any events that are going to involve catering. You just want to make sure that they have ample time to provide the food and give you, quotes. That way you're checking it back with your budget and making sure that you have the money to cater a certain event. So some of these require deposits up front. So you just kind of want to get that done, January, early February.
Yep. And basically the wrap up would be, afterwards, again, making sure that you're posting on social media during and after the events, and that you're submitting your reports to regional and national. And then sort of put all your information into a folder for the following year, because if you're on the committee or you're running, chairing it, you can take the list of all the ideas that you had and make sure that things that you didn't do one year, you might want to do the next year. And all those contacts that you might have used, you probably either want to pass on or keep a record of for the following year.
Yeah. And to touch on that too, we do standard operating procedures. So it's kind of a working document for if, one person chaired it one year and, it's a completely new committee the next, they have kind of a guideline of what to expect and how to, do WIC week, so to speak. And then, once the week's over, just like Jaclyn said, you take a deep breath and slowly release it, because there's a lot of planning. There's a lot that goes into WIC week. I mean, months of planning, and January and February fly by because it's, just a constant, emailing back and forth and reservations and, your timeline and getting with marketing and all the different committees that help bring this week on. It can be stressful, but it's also very rewarding to see all the hard work that you put into it come to light, and see how many people and members, really enjoy the event. So just take a deep breath, and be sure to send thank you notes to any sponsors, any speakers, kind of any hard hat tours that you do. Just, a simple thank you note can go a long way, and it's very much appreciated, to everybody that's involved.
Mhm. Yeah, and again, all the events, it's important to make sure you take a moment and just let everybody know that it is Women in Construction Week. That's what WIC Week stands for. And the intent of it is to promote women in the construction industry, which is right along with what NAWIC's goals are. And, any information that you can give about what's going on. I mean, right now, we want to continue to have more and more women join the workforce and join NAWIC and get involved and become leaders. So that's why we do WIC Week. We enjoy doing it.
Too. Lots of fun. And even too, we didn't touch on this, but cross collaboration with other chapters. This year's different because of COVID. So there's some virtual events that chapters throughout the nation can, join in. So you can kind of get some cross collaboration with them, and, share WIC week throughout, the whole NAWIC nationally. So pretty cool.
So hopefully you guys learned something, and we're always here if you've got questions.
Absolutely. Good luck.
And we're signing off.